Hello, everyone. There is something mighty about a whisper that won't quit. Now, I don't know how you got here today. Maybe you stumbled in, maybe you marched in, maybe life dragged you kicking and screaming, but you're here, and that's no small thing. Being here means there's still fire in you, even if it's only an ember. It means the story isn't over, not by a long shot. We live in a world that wants everything big and fast. Big houses, big dreams, big wins, fast results, fast money, fast love. But hear me when I tell you the biggest things that ever changed a life didn't come rushing in like a storm. They crept in soft-footed, quiet as morning dew. Small steps, sugar, small steps. A baby don't run before it learns to crawl. The tallest tree don't shoot up overnight. It starts with a seed buried in dark earth. And you, with all your hope and hurt and heart, you are no different. Every mountain is climbed one deliberate step at a time. That's the truth, plain and clear. Mountains aren't conquered by leaps. They're not scaled by sudden bursts of brilliance. They're taken inch by inch, breath by breath, with feet that hurt and hearts that question the climb. We live in a time where folks want the summit without the struggle. They want the applause without the quiet discipline, the view without the climb. But there's no shortcut to the top. There never has been. And even if there was, you wouldn't want it, because it's the climb that makes you. Let me tell you, every great thing I've ever witnessed, every soul I've watched rise, did so with patience in their pocket and grit in their shoes. One step, then another, then one more when their knees buckled and their spirit grew tired, and still they climbed. Because when you're facing something bigger than you, when the path is steep and the peak is out of sight, the only thing that'll carry you is the will to keep stepping. And don't you think for a second that small steps are weak. Oh no, baby. Small steps are sacred. Small steps are brave. It's easy to run when you're strong. It's easy to leap when life's on your side. But to take a small, trembling step when everything in you says stay down, that's strength. That's courage. That's how the mountain is moved. It's not about doing it all at once. You don't write a book in a day. You don't heal from heartbreak in a week. You don't build a dream overnight. But if you keep showing up, keep putting your hands to the work, keep choosing progress over perfection, you'll get there. Maybe slower than others, maybe with scars, but you'll get there just the same. And when you do, you'll know every inch of that climb because you lived it. You earned it. People love to talk about overnight success, but what they don't see are the countless days before that night, the quiet days, the lonely days, the days when no one clapped, no one cared, and still you moved, still you showed up, still you took that one small, necessary, deliberate step. Let me remind you, it's not the loud steps that make history, it's the faithful ones. It's the quiet choices you make when no one's watching. The early mornings you rise with weary bones. The late nights you spend believing in something no one else can see. That's how change begins. That's how character is carved. One small act of courage, one decision to keep going, one more step. And when you fall, and you will, because the mountain doesn't care how perfect you are, don't you dare stay down. You reach for the rock beside you, you plant your foot, and you rise. Not because it's easy, not because you feel ready, but because the top is waiting, and you didn't come this far just to come this far. The view from the top is breathtaking, yes, but not because of the height. It's beautiful because of what it took to get there. The climb, the cost, the choices, every small step stitched into the story of how you overcame. So don't worry if the progress feels slow. Don't beat yourself up if the summit feels far. Keep moving, keep climbing. One sure, sacred, powerful step at a time. That's how the mountain bows to you. Because small steps taken with purpose make the impossible possible. Consistency in the small becomes mastery in the great. That's the quiet truth the world rarely celebrates. Folks love to cheer for the grand finale, for the big moment, the breakthrough, the fireworks, but they forget it's the little things done day after day that build the kind of excellence that lasts. You don't wake up great, you don't stumble into brilliance, you become it. Through repetition, through devotion, through showing up even when nobody notices. There's something holy about consistency. It's not glamorous, no. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's faithful. And that kind of steady, intentional showing up, that's what changes everything. People ask, how do I get there? The answer's simple, but it ain't easy. You get there by doing the small things so well, so often they become part of who you are. Not once, not twice, over and over again, because anything done with love and done often enough becomes an offering, it becomes a discipline, it becomes a part of your name. You want to write a book? Start with a sentence, then write another, and then another the next day. You want to grow strong? Pick up the weight today, tomorrow, again and again. You want to love better, live fuller, learn deeper? Then begin with small, steady acts of care, one kind word, one apology, one lesson leaned into with an open heart. And repeat it, make it a habit, make it a way of life. See, excellence isn't born in a moment of inspiration. It's born in quiet rooms, behind closed doors, where nobody's clapping. It's born in the mornings you get up early to stretch, to study, to listen. It's born in the evenings when you choose growth over distraction. That's where the roots go deep. That's where greatness learns how to stand. Consistency is what keeps you when motivation leaves the room. Because motivation comes and goes, it's a spark, but consistency is the firewood. It's what keeps the flame alive long after the feeling has faded. And baby, that's what separates those who dream from those who build. The builders, they do the work even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it looks like nothing's changing, because they know it is. Every time you show up, you're planting a seed. Every time you try again, you're watering it. And one day, quietly, unexpectedly, it blooms. People will call it talent, they'll call it luck, but you'll know the truth. You'll know that bloom came from days and weeks and months of faithfulness in the small. Don't underestimate the power of the little things. Don't you dare. Those little things are the ones that shape your spirit. They're the bricks in the foundation. A master pianist doesn't become great by performing on stage. They become great by playing scales over and over again and again, long before the spotlight ever found them. And it's the same for you. You want to be great? Then be consistent. Show up when it's hard. Show up when it's boring. Show up when no one's watching and when everyone's forgotten what you're reaching for. Keep showing up, because every time you do, you're proving to yourself that you are trustworthy, that your dream is worth it, that you are worth it. Mastery doesn't shout, it whispers. And it whispers in the rhythm of daily faithfulness. One small act at a time. One choice at a time. And before you know it, the small things have made something mighty. So keep the pace, keep the promise, keep the faith. You're not just going through the motions, you're shaping a life. And that life, crafted in consistency, will rise like the sun. Because small steps done faithfully make big changes that echo. Tiny actions done daily rewrite entire destinies. That might sound simple, but let it sink in. Because it's not the grand gestures that shape who we become. It's the small, often unseen acts repeated over time. The quiet choices, the little shifts in direction, the 5-minute habits, the one more try. That's where transformation lives. People are always waiting for the big moment to change their lives. They think it'll happen all at once, like a lightning strike, loud, bright, impossible to miss. But real change, It moves differently. It moves in whispers, in patterns, in steady, sacred repetition. You do something tiny every day, and it may not look like much in the beginning, but days stack up, habits settle in, and before you know it, the life you once only dreamed of starts to take shape right under your feet. And that's the thing. Tiny doesn't mean weak. Tiny doesn't mean pointless. Tiny means sustainable. Tiny means possible. You can't always overhaul everything in one breath, but you can wake up 10 minutes earlier. You can speak a little more kindly to yourself. You can read one page, drink one glass of water, take one deep breath before you react. Do that enough times, and it changes you from the inside out. And isn't that how all the most beautiful things begin? With something small and brave and repeated. Think about it. A single drop of water can carve through stone if it keeps falling. A simple "I believe in you" whisper daily can raise a child into someone who knows their worth. A small boundary honored again and again can rebuild a broken self. You don't have to start big, you just have to start. But we live in a world that's addicted to spectacle. We're told if it's not huge, it's not helpful. If it's not fast, it's not working. But that's a lie, a dangerous one, because it makes us overlook the quiet power of beginning. It convinces us that small isn't enough. But small is everything. Small is the soil where change takes root. And what grows from that soil? That's the stuff legacies are made of. Don't dismiss the tiny actions. They're the ones that sneak into your bones and stay. They're the ones that carry you forward when motivation fades and life feels heavy. When you can't do everything, do one thing. When your strength is small, use it anyway. That's not failure. That's faith. And faith isn't loud. It doesn't always shout or shake the ground. Sometimes faith is just brushing your teeth when depression says, don't. It's reaching out when pride says, stay silent. It's choosing growth, one honest moment at a time. And that matters. That rewrites the script. That becomes your new story. And yes, there will be days you slip, days you forget, days you feel like starting again is too much. That's okay. Start anyway. Pick up the tiny action and do it once more. That's how you build a life that lasts. Not through perfection, but through return, through coming back again and again. The truth is, big change rarely announces itself. It arrives quietly, disguised as routine. But if you stay with it, if you trust the process, if you honor the small things like they matter because they do, you'll look up one day and barely recognize the person you've become. Stronger, softer, wiser, more rooted, more free. So whatever you're working toward, whatever mountain you're facing, whatever dream you're cradling close to your chest, don't wait for the perfect day to begin. Start with the tiniest step you can take today, and take it again tomorrow. Let your life be shaped not by bursts of brilliance, but by the grace of daily effort, because small steps, repeated with heart, change everything. Your single step forward still outruns standing. That's a truth many folks overlook, especially when life feels heavy and progress seems slow. We get caught in the trap of thinking if we can't take a giant leap, then we shouldn't move at all. But that thinking will keep you stuck. It'll keep you silent when you should be singing, seated when you should be walking, and still when your spirit was made to rise. See, the world tries to measure success in miles. How far did you go? How much did you achieve? But life, real life, measures in moments. Small, honest, brave moments where you chose movement over fear, progress over perfection. And that one step, that one small shift forward is more powerful than all the doubt that tried to keep you frozen. There is something sacred about moving even when you're unsure. When you step forward with trembling knees and a shaking voice, that's not weakness. That's strength wrapped in courage. because it's easy to move when the road is smooth. It's easy to run when the sun is shining, but to move when the storm is loud and the ground beneath you is unsteady, that's the kind of strength they don't teach in books. Sometimes we look at others standing on what looks like higher ground and we start comparing our step to their strides. But that's not your race. You're not here to match their pace. You're here to honor your own. A step for you might take more strength than a mile for someone else. And that step, small as it may seem, is still progress. It's still forward. It still matters. Standing still often wears a clever disguise. It pretends to be safety. It dresses up as waiting, as preparing, as caution. And yes, there's a time for stillness. But you know the difference, deep down, between resting and retreating, between being still to gather your breath and being still because fear wrapped its arms around your feet. And let me tell you, fear has a way of talking real smooth. It'll whisper, wait until you're ready. It'll say, what if you fail? It'll play every worst case scenario like a broken record. But here's the thing, that fear loses power the moment you move. Just one step, one decision, one action. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to not stay stuck. Maybe your step is making a phone call. Maybe it's cleaning one room. Maybe it's telling the truth finally to yourself or someone else. Maybe it's writing the first line of a story that's been trapped inside your chest for years. That step, no matter how small, is momentum. It's movement. And movement brings change. You weren't meant to stay stuck in the same place forever. You weren't created to carry the same pain, same patterns, same problems without hope. Life is a dance, a rhythm, a journey. You've got to be willing to step, even if you don't know where the road leads yet. Because the road doesn't reveal itself all at once. It reveals itself to the faithful feet that keep walking. And I know, it's hard. Some days just lifting your head feels like a victory. But don't wait until you feel ready. Start before you're ready. That's where growth lives. That's where change begins. And you don't need to sprint, just walk. One foot, then the next, and again. And even if you stumble, even if you fall, you're still further along than you were before, because motion, even messy motion, is still motion. And standing still, no matter how polished it looks, won't carry you where you need to go. So wherever you are, however heavy the load, however steep the hill, trust this, your one step forward today is a holy act, a declaration, a promise to yourself that you are not done, not broken beyond repair, not too far gone. Because small steps, even the smallest one forward, still lead to big changes. Don't wait for the de-thunder. Move with the whisper. There's a quiet voice inside of you. Sometimes it speaks gently in the early hours of the morning when the world hasn't yet stirred. Sometimes it stirs just as your head hits the pillow, a soft nudge telling you there's more in you. It's not loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It whispers. And in a world filled with noise, we've forgotten how to listen. But that whisper, that's where the change begins. Not in the thunderclap moments we often crave, the grand signs, the big announcements, the dramatic transformation. No, change often tiptoes in, soft and steady, waiting for you to believe in the small, waiting for you to honor the nudge instead of demanding the shout. Too many people are waiting for lightning to strike before they move. They're waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect permission. But perfection is a lie, and waiting for it will leave you standing still for years. Sometimes all you'll get is a whisper, and that's more than enough to start. That whisper is your knowing, it's your intuition, it's your soul calling you towards something more honest, more true, more you. But you've got to be still enough to hear it, and bold enough to follow it, even if no one else can hear what you hear. See, thunder might get attention, but it's the whisper that gets results. It's the whisper that wakes you up and makes you move. It tells you, just try today. Write one paragraph. Say yes to that opportunity. Leave what no longer holds you. It might not feel like much. It might not impress anyone, but that whisper has power. And when you follow it day after day, step by step, it will change your life. People think transformation has to be loud, has to come with fireworks and applause, but sometimes transformation begins in silence, in a quiet decision made alone, in a small yes, in a single trembling "I'm ready." You don't need a crowd to validate your change. You need courage to follow the whisper before it turns into a roar. That whisper, when honored, becomes a pattern, and when you act on it, when you take that small step in its direction, you're building something unshakable. You're saying, I trust myself, even when the world doesn't see it yet, and that trust grows day by day, until one day you wake up and realize the life you're living now, it was shaped by listening, by responding to what others might have ignored. You won't always feel brave when you begin. You won't always feel sure, but faith doesn't need full clarity to move. It just needs willingness. The willingness to act on the quiet pull inside your chest. That pull that says, start, try, go. So don't wait for a dramatic sign to chase what's calling you. Don't wait for life to get loud enough to force you into action, because sometimes life is testing your ability to move without noise, to believe without proof, to take small steps guided by nothing more than a whisper and a dream. Even if you don't know where the road leads, start walking. That whisper inside you is a compass, not a map. It won't give you every detail, but it will give you direction. And if you keep following it, it will lead you to places your fear never could. The real work of change happens long before the world claps. It happens in silence, in solitude, in the moments when no one's watching, but you decide to move anyway. That's where power lives. That's where purpose grows. So listen, tune in, and when that whisper comes again, don't wait for the thunder, because small steps taken in response to a quiet calling still create big changes. The road to greatness is paved with ordinary moments. That's a truth not everyone wants to hear. It doesn't glitter. It doesn't dazzle. It doesn't promise quick results or instant applause. But it holds more power than all the polished quotes and fast-track plans combined. Because real greatness, the kind that lasts, that lifts others, that leaves a mark, it's not built in spotlight moments. It's born in the everyday, in the unremarkable, in the things you do when no one's watching. There's this idea floating around that greatness only happens when everything aligns, when you land the big opportunity, when you deliver the perfect speech, when your work finally gets seen. But the truth is, those moments are just the tip of the iceberg, the foundation. The part that holds it all up is the ordinary, the showing up, the trying again, the small decisions made without fanfare. That's where greatness takes root. Every day you choose to rise when it's easier to stay in bed. Every time you practice when you could be scrolling, when you speak kindly instead of quickly, when you listen deeply even when you're tired. That's it. That's the road, and it's not some smooth, golden highway. It's bumpy, it's slow. Sometimes it looks like nothing's changing, but every step you take on that quiet path is shaping you into the kind of person who can hold greatness when it comes. It's easy to be motivated for a moment. It's easy to feel powerful in the rush of a new beginning. But what happens on the 100th day, when no one claps, when progress is slow? When the world keeps spinning and you're still there, showing up, building something that no one sees yet. That's the test. And that's also the becoming. You don't become great all at once. You grow into it slowly, steadily, like a tree putting down roots long before it bears fruit. And those roots, they grow in the ordinary, in the mundane, in the quiet grind that most folks avoid. But that's what makes the difference. Think about all the people you admire, the ones who move with grace, speak with wisdom, work with fire. They didn't wake up that way. They didn't skip the ordinary days, they walked through them. They showed up when it was inconvenient. They practiced when it was repetitive. They stayed humble. They stayed honest. That's how they became who they are. There's beauty in the routine, if you choose to see it. There's power in washing the same dishes and writing another page and offering forgiveness one more time. Those small acts repeated daily are the bricks of greatness. They build resilience. They build character. They build depth. And no, it doesn't always feel like you're doing something extraordinary. But here's the miracle. You don't have to feel extraordinary to be becoming it. You just have to stay faithful to the moment you're in, to honor it, to treat the ordinary like it matters, because it does. You never know which ordinary day will be the one that changes everything. You never know when a quiet decision will ripple outward and reshape your future. But if you stay on the road, keep walking, keep trusting, keep building, you'll find that the ordinary was never ordinary at all. It was sacred. It was necessary. It was the training ground for your greatness. So if you're in a season where life feels small, where your work feels unseen, where the days blur into each other, don't despair. Don't give up. Don't wait for the grand moment to begin valuing your journey, because every moment matters. Every choice counts. Every ordinary day is bringing you closer to the extraordinary life that's waiting ahead. Because small steps taken faithfully through ordinary moments are what lead to truly great changes. The quiet strength in small, consistent steps is what creates lasting change. Too often we're led to believe that in order to make a real difference, we need to make a big splash, something bold, something dramatic, something that gets noticed. We're drawn to the idea of sudden transformations, the breakthrough moments that are loud and clear, but the truth is, those moments don't come out of nowhere. They come from the foundation built in the silence. The quiet steps, repeated every day, that no one sees but that shape who you are and what you're becoming. Change doesn't need to scream. It doesn't need to announce itself. Real change happens in the subtle moments, when you choose to get up one more time after you've fallen, when you decide to keep pushing forward even though it feels like the world isn't noticing, when you continue to believe in yourself even on the days you feel insignificant. Those small, consistent actions are the ones that truly move mountains, because they are the bedrock on which everything else is built. It's easy to think that you need a grand plan, a huge effort to make an impact. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that if you don't do something spectacular, it doesn't matter. But here's the truth. The power lies in the consistency. It's in showing up every day with determination. It's in doing the hard work when no one is watching. It's in pushing through the ordinary moments, the ones that seem so insignificant, but that over time transform everything. We live in a world that wants fast results. We want success today, wealth tomorrow, happiness yesterday. But that's not how lasting change happens. Lasting change is cultivated in the quiet, in the slow, steady progress that compounds over time. The small habits, the consistent actions, the repeated choices, those are the things that shift your life. People who achieve greatness are often the ones who embrace the small, seemingly mundane tasks that others overlook. They don't wait for inspiration to strike. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They just keep going step by step, trusting that their effort matters. And let me tell you, it does. Every little bit adds up. Every moment counts. When you focus on consistent small actions, you build resilience. You teach yourself that progress doesn't need to be fast or perfect. It just needs to keep moving. And that, my friend, is how change happens. Not in one big rush, not in one monumental leap, but in the countless quiet steps that accumulate over time until one day you look back and realize how far you've come. And here's the thing, when you've taken the time to build a foundation with those small, steady steps, you find that you're ready when the big moments arrive. You won't be caught unprepared, You won't be overwhelmed by the challenges that come with greatness because you've been practicing. You've been strengthening yourself in the quiet, in the mundane. And when the moment to act, to shine, to stand tall finally comes, you'll be ready because the small steps you took were preparing you all along. People often ask how successful individuals manage to overcome obstacles, face challenges, and achieve their dreams. The answer isn't glamorous. It's simply this: they keep going. They take it one day at a time, even when the path seems unclear. They don't get discouraged by the smallness of their actions because they understand the power of consistency. They trust that if they keep showing up, if they keep doing the work, they will eventually reach their destination. This journey is about more than just achieving a goal. It's about becoming the kind of person who believes that every step forward is worth something. It's about developing the strength to keep going even when the world around you seems indifferent. It's about trusting that the smallest effort, when repeated over time, will create something beautiful. Because the truth is, without those tiny, consistent steps, big changes can't take place. So don't dismiss the quiet moments. Don't overlook the small choices. Those are the things that change everything. It may feel like you're not making progress, like the road is too long or the steps too small. But trust me, every single one of those steps is shaping you. Every effort you make, no matter how small, is getting you closer to where you need to be. Small steps, repeated over time, lead to the kind of change that lasts, the kind of change that is built to endure. And that, my friend, is the true power of consistency. As we come to the end of this journey, remember this: